It definitely feels like WWE is coasting on the road to WrestleMania. They're coasting essentially on the road to the Elimination Chamber, which is in about a week and a half away. Some of these matches, the Elimination Chamber, like the qualifying matches, it's very predictable as far as who gets in. One match here that we had where I think it was Kiana James, Nia Jax, and Charlotte Flair. Obviously, I kind of figured Charlotte Flair was going to advance because I think Alexa's already in the match. So, obviously they're going to want to tease once again the potential tension between both ladies. That did not happen. Kiana James actually got the win here against Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax. So that's kind of the only, I guess, shocker that we saw. Trick Williams got the win over Carmelo Hayes and Damian Priest. When you compare both guys, like Trick obviously was the most over guy in this match, and he's the heel here, which certainly says a lot as far as the potential star power that guy has. That guy's only been on the main roster, like on Smackdown, I would say for what, maybe a month and a half, and he's already like super over, right? He's like his entrance theme, the whoop that Trick, his lemon pepper steppers, like all that shit's over, dude, and that's like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. But he advanced to the Elimination Chamber match. Other than that, we really didn't get much here as far as, I guess, actual substance. We had a opening segment here with Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, and Drew McIntyre. Of course, telegraphing the fact of potentially that being the triple threat main event for WrestleMania. And again, if they want to run Drew and Cody, you have to do something different that you haven't done in the past, and doing just Drew and Cody isn't going to cut it. You have to add in whether that's Jacob Fatu, whether that's Randy Orton, whether that's Sami Zayn. There was one thing here on this show that I actually kind of stopped what I was doing for a second and actually sat down and watched. Like everything else, I was kind of like, mindlessly just watching. But this particular thing, I was like, yo, what is this here real quick? That was the thing here we had with Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes in the back. Sami Zayn is dejected from last week. He's kind of pondering, everything that happened last week with the qualifying match. And Cody Rhodes comes up to him and tells him, you have nothing to be ashamed of. When Sami Zayn throws all this right back into his face and says, well, Cody, I was trying to help you. I saw you getting attacked by McIntyre and I went to help you. And what did you do? You stabbed me in the back. You hit me with the crossroads. And that's something that you should be ashamed of. And Cody hit back with, these opportunities, they don't just arrive at your lap. They're not just given to you. You have to take them. And he says, maybe that's why you haven't been WWE champion before, because you don't take these opportunities. And then afterwards, Cody leaves. Sami Zayn gets fucking pissed. He starts throwing shit at the wall. Of course, Trick Williams comes up, at insult to injury, mimics Sami. Then afterwards, Sami Zayn literally goes and finds Cody Rhodes and tells him, hey man, I'm sorry. That wasn't me. I'm sorry. I wish you luck. But just know that, you had help along the way when you win that WWE Championship back. And literally, as he said, I'm sorry, the whole crowd immediately fucking turned on Sami. Like, they started booing that fucking decision because it makes Sami look so fucking weak. Like, literally. And I don't really know what they're going for here, whether they're going for the sympathetic, Sami Zayn, he has to finish his story thing, or whether they're teasing something more sinister, maybe a heel turn. But yeah, dude, the last 2 weeks, the last month, in reality, Sami Zayn has looked like a fucking chump, right? He walked into the Royal Rumble where essentially he kind of has a home field advantage, right, being in Saudi, and he fucking lost, right? And he lost, like, it was decisively. Like, Drew beat the shit out of him. And then last week, he chooses not to take advantage of the distraction by McIntyre, even if you're a babyface. Like, doesn't that tempt you? Like, wouldn't you want to do anything possible to become the WWE champion? Like, why wouldn't he take the shot? Right? Cody took the shot, and that's kind of what they mentioned here is like, yo, you took the shot, but Sami couldn't, And I'd be willing to forgive all of this if this eventually leads to a heel turn, because I'm sick of, something happens to certain characters and then certain characters just get somewhat of an edge and then that's it. Like, what happened to actual legitimate heel turns that make sense, right? What happened to Kevin Owens turning heel on Cody Rhodes because, he aligned with Roman? What happened to heel turns that make sense and that are needed for the story. Plus, who wants to see a babyface Sami Zayn win the WWE Championship and be stretched out all the way until next year? Because he ain't winning the title, at WrestleMania. He ain't winning the title at SummerSlam. He's not winning that title anytime soon. So if he did win it, it's going to be all the way potentially next year at WrestleMania 43. And who wants to see that, right? Why not just have him essentially turn heel on Cody, maybe, on the road to Backlash or something along those lines, right? Add some unpredictability into this whole main event structure. At the end, they kind of, teased the whole Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes dissension as well between him and Aleister Black. Randy Orton and Aleister Black had a match here where Drew McIntyre got involved and then Cody came out to help, but Aleister got the win regardless. So again, it just kind of paint by number stuff. Drew McIntyre trying to take out all of his competition before the Elimination Chamber. Regardless of the fact, though, I thought that tonight's SmackDown was not a very good episode of SmackDown. They have a lot of work to do, especially if you've seen the reports that have been going around as far as the ticket sales for WrestleMania 42. Now, this is something that I wanted to mention here before I log off, and that was the WrestleMania 42 ticket sales. Last week, it was reported that they weren't doing so strong compared to last year, WrestleMania 41. It wasn't as strong as it was previously, right? So today, there's a report that comes out that WrestleMania 42 ticket sales, not only are they not doing as well as they were a year ago, they're not even doing as well as they were a week ago, which is kind of mind-blowing because WrestleMania 42 is your biggest, WrestleMania in general is your biggest fucking attraction, right? And you can't sell tickets to that. And of course, there's a lot of reasons that I could list out as far as why they haven't sold out. And at the end of the day, though, it comes down to corporate greed by TKO. They obviously want to stretch the dollar as far as trying to milk all of us as far as our money's worth. And secondly, it just kind of comes down to bad creative, just lazy, uninspiring storytelling creative by Triple H and Paul Levesque, his whole team, everything that goes down there. And again, you kind of see that week to week as far as these shows not being super must see with a sense of urgency. I hate using that term, but it's true. Sense of urgency is something that is, vastly lost here in modern WWE in 2026. But post your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode of SmackDown. Let me know what your thoughts are for the Elimination Chamber. And until next time, I'll see all of you on the next one.